Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about pattern bits and some of the problems that come with using pattern bits and of course some of the solutions to getting around those problems. As a guitar maker, I know me personally, I use pattern bits more than any other type of router bit in the shop. So it's really important to get a hold on this, not just for the quality of my work, but also for safety's sake, because let's face it, routers are really dangerous. This is an example of a pattern bit. See the guide bearing at the top? And actually the guide bearing can be at the top here or it can be down at the bottom depending on which side you have your template on. The purpose of this bit is to duplicate a pattern by fixing a template to a piece of wood, like you see here, how I have this guitar template. It's actually glued down, but in cases where you want to be able to remove the template, you would simply use double stick tape. You fix a template to a piece of wood and allow the guide bearing to bear against the edge of the template. So this here would ride along the top piece and thus would duplicate this shape onto the bottom piece. Some of the problems that I've identified with this are changing grain direction, too much overhang around your bottom piece, tight inside curves, having a dirty or a dull bit, and just difficult woods, like the hard tropical woods can be really difficult to work with. So let's talk about solutions, let's further talk about those problems and then discuss solutions to those problems. A good place to start is by checking the bit to see if it's dirty or dull. So if I look at this bit right here, which is actually a very old bit, which I may in fact throw out at the end of this, but I really want to use it for this example, because it is a dirty bit. As you can see, most or even all of the work that I've done with this is at this top edge here, and that's why all of this grime has accumulated, and I'm going to show you how to clean that off. Now also, if you look down at the bottom edge, you can see that at some point I did something to just completely maul and destroy this bottom edge. You can see the edge is just chipped out. So if I were to use the full length of this bit, that would not only create a lot of damage to the workpiece, but it also creates a dangerous situation which can and will involve a lot of kickback. So this bit, however, could still be usable if I only use the top portion of it. So I may clean it and still save it for that purpose. But if I intended to use the full length of it, I would certainly throw out this bit because of that bottom edge. So cleaning the bit is a very simple and easy thing to do. You can either use warm soapy water, or I just use simple green. And you take the bit and just let it sit in there for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to scrub everything off with a toothbrush. You want to use something soft. You don't want to use some hard metal brush to brush this because you don't want to dull that edge. A toothbrush works great. Now that this sat in there for about 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and, well, you're going to cut your fingers on this, so when you take the bearing off, you can hold it like this. Go ahead and remove the bearing so we can clean each piece separately. And you could have done this before you put it in there. I didn't really think to. It doesn't matter though. Either way, the simple green or the warm soapy water gets into everything. And now we're going to scrub primarily the bit, but we're also going to clean these smaller individual parts. Okay, now I dry everything off with the paper towel and I can put everything back together. So now you can see how much cleaner that edge is, and you can imagine how much more effective that's going to be when it's cutting. Now after I tighten the bearing in place, just snug, you don't make it crazy tight. The last thing I want to do is just add some lubricant to the top Just it's hard to control how much comes out of this, but just a little drop, the tiniest drop will do. You don't want to use just your ordinary 3-in-1 oil lubricant. I get this dry lube. It's basically the same thing as bicycle chain lube. WD-40 makes it, but a bunch of other companies make it too. And the idea is that it's dirt and dust resistant. So when you use just any lubricant, any 3-in-1 household oil or anything like that, what's going to happen is you're actually going to make the problem worse and not better, because the second you start to use this, the dust that you create from using it is just going to gum up that oil and again make the bearing less lubricated, not more. The dirt and dust resistant dry lube works to prevent that.